where we provide guidance and insights for parenting neurodivergent children. From Pure Hearts Therapy, I'm your host, Brian Keene. And today I'm thrilled to be joined by Megan Ashley, a licensed therapist, speaker, author, and proud autism advocate. Her mission better understand is to help parents better understand and connect with their autistic children, not with fear, but with behavioral wisdom and human compassion. Welcome to the show, Ashley or Megan.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be here.
All right, let's do this. I think this will be a great conversation. Let's start off by sharing a little bit of your story, who you are, and kind of what your experience was growing up, and maybe when you start to realize you were autistic.
Okay. It's a very interesting story. So, even though I've been working in the autism space for as long as I've been working, I did not realize I was autistic until after I had both of my autistic children, after they were both diagnosed, and I was already working with autistic adults. One day the light bulb went off and the aha moment happened. I was like, oh, I'm autistic too. And it was just so interesting to me after this what seemed like a lifetime of working in the autism space with autistic individuals, I realized it's because I am an autistic individual. And I find that a lot of other practitioners who have always been drawn to working with autistic individuals in whatever capacity, OT, SLP, therapies, and different kinds of treatment modalities, a lot of times it is because you understand the autistic brain because you have the autistic brain. And so I always thought that it was so interesting. I didn't realize I was autistic until I was in my 30s. And I had already had this private practice where this niche kept coming to me of autistic adults. And I kept finding all of these autistic adults who really resonated with the way that I did therapy. And then after a while, again, the recognition came.
Awesome. Very interesting though. Like in your 30s, did that was that? Tell me about that experience. Was that a little bit relieving, or was it like you said, it's
Mm.
like oh aha, or was there like what emotions came with that?
A lot. So I tell my clients now that I do autism assessments for other adults is you're going to have the grief and relief process. So the grief is like, okay, I'm recognizing that my younger self was going through certain things that were happening due to the fact that I was autistic and I didn't know. And so that grief process of all that poor little girl, she didn't have to go through all of those things. She didn't have to struggle. She didn't have to, you know, have all of those experiences, negative experiences, and all of that self-loathing and not understanding self. She didn't have to have all of that if somebody would have just figured it out. So it's that grief process, and a lot of times you have anger too. Even though I love my parents and they did the absolute best they could have, they didn't have the information either to understand what it was I was going through. And so it was that grief process of feeling like I was the child left behind, in the no child left behind system. Like people just didn't notice, and so there was some bitterness and some anger that comes with that. And then the relief comes in once I know that I'm autistic and I start to live autistically and my life starts to feel better day by day. That's when the relief comes in, where it's like, yeah, this was it the whole time. So it's a very complicated ball of emotions.
Mm. I could understand that. That makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of things to process there.
Hmm.
With that being said, you mentioned kind of like a little bit of frustration with the parents. I'm sure they were doing their best,
Hmm.
but how do you think culture plays a role in this, and maybe even whether it's parenting culture or
Hmm.
even being a Black autistic woman? How do you think that plays a role, and maybe how could your parents maybe change things up, or what do you think would help um,
Yeah, that's a
them
great
out?
question. Yeah, so culture, number one, yes, definitely played a role. And not just black culture, but in my family, it was girls are smart. You go to school, you get your degrees, you focus on that. That is what your job is. And because I am an intelligent, autistic person, like I went the path, I did everything I was supposed to do, I got the degrees. So no one noticed that I was struggling. Just because you can carry it doesn't mean it's not heavy, and I was struggling in ways that they didn't understand. I never struggled with academics. I struggled socially, and that wasn't something they understood too, because now, looking back, looking up the family tree, a lot of people were autistic then also. So like they didn't understand it was a struggle, because they're like, I do that, it's not a problem, we all do that, and it's because we're all autistic. But yeah, so I didn't struggle in a way that was harmful to others, so no one noticed. And that's something you see a lot with women, is that um autistic traits in women and girls, and traits of women and girls in America, they coincide so much. You're supposed to be more quiet. You're supposed to grin and bear it. You're supposed to, like, fly under the radar with all these things. You're supposed to be organized, and you're supposed to be able to do this and do that. And a lot of that falls into autistic traits. So we're not causing anybody any issues other than ourselves, but we're not worthy enough for that to be like raised up the flagpole of alert, And so a lot of times we fly under the radar because of that. And I found that that was definitely my experience. And I think the second thing was the culture in my family. My mom is an artist, and she's just very like a quintessential artist, right? Like she's always painting and drawing and doing all these different things. And so she's also very accepting. And so she was always very accepting of me and my brother and our things that we had going on. Like I thought when I was 8, I was going to be an Egyptologist. Like I knew I was going to go and live in Egypt and work in the pyramids, and that's what I was going to do. My mom supported all of that. She bought me papyrus. What 8-year-old has papyrus? Like I got papyrus shipped in from Egypt, right? I learned how to write my name in hieroglyphics. I went to Egypt camp. I live in Houston, Texas, and if you want to have a specialization in something, Houston has got it, and Egypt camp was a thing. And so I was able to really cultivate all of my special interests without somebody looking at it funny, because it wasn't so different than what I was supposed to be showing up as. So I think that people probably would have noticed I was autistic earlier if I had struggled more outwardly, and if I didn't already fit the bill of what a little black girl was supposed to be. And so I think that that has a lot to do with it. I think that my parents accommodated me at home a lot. And I think that that was a fantastic thing. So I didn't have to struggle as hard, but it also meant that no one else could see. I think Brian popped out for a second. Hopefully he pops back in. Let's see. I'm gonna check my email to see if we have an update. Don't see anything from Brian, so I don't know if I should just keep talking. Maybe. Not sure. Don't know if we're still live. Not entirely sure what I'm supposed to do in this situation. But if you're watching, hey y'all. I'm actually going to